You know, regardless of what I thought of this movie, some of the dialogue was in Hindi and the subtitles were actually cut off on the screen that I watched it on. So look at that. Free movie. What's up guys, Josh here. As you can tell, I'm not using my normal setup because I want this to just be sort of a quickie, but I just got back from seeing It Lives Inside, a new horror film. Essentially, we have this girl, Sam, who is of Indian descent. Her family practices a lot of traditional Hinduism, and she's sort of trying to break free from that. There's nothing really new or original to that. We've seen all that before. And essentially, one of Sam's friends approaches her with this little glass jar that she claims contains an evil entity, and she needs help containing this entity. I did find some enjoyment in this movie. In the last 15 minutes. The hour and 20 to hour and 30 minutes before that were painfully boring and honestly extremely disappointing, because there were some things again in here that I think work really well. The cinematography, generally speaking, is good. The color grading is solid. I like a lot of the reds that are used. And the performances are solid enough, but my God, is the dialogue in this bad. The storytelling, the actual structure and pacing is just horrible. And in many ways, this is just yet another exercise in genre tropes that seems to have no regard for creativity or bringing anything original or new to the table. In a lot of ways, I'm honestly shocked that this came out just months after this year's The Boogeyman, because there are a lot of shots in this that feel like they were ripped straight from that film. I'm not joking. And it's a shame that they squandered the potential of this movie, because there's something interesting between the main character Sam and her mom. Thankfully, this isn't one of those horror movies that's about grief where the monster is a representation or symbolic of grief as an emotion. No, instead it's more about loneliness. Not that the movie really does much with that, to be honest. Any themes are rendered pretty much incomprehensible by the end, which again was my favorite part. I thought the third act was kind of interesting because we actually get to see the monster. Gonna give you some mild spoilers here, nothing too huge, but through a majority of this film, the monster is able to turn invisible. Why does it not do that in the third act? Well, because they probably just wanted to show us the creature, and they clearly didn't have the VFX budget to do so before then. Now, I'm not going to sit here and complain that they didn't show the monster through a majority of the film, because that's generally speaking a better way to build suspense. But to have it just be invisible as opposed to being hiding in the shadows or something like that, it just felt cheap, and it actually kind of took away from the scare factor. I did like the monster design though, and there were clearly some practical effects at work, so kudos for that. But the sheer number of genre tropes, from cheap jump scares to fades to black, like this movie transitions between scenes by fading to black randomly about 5 times, and it became so noticeable. The little payoff that you do get as a horror fan in the third act just isn't worth it to me. I would wait until this comes out and just search up the last 15 minutes on YouTube or something. I know it's probably generally frowned upon to say something like that about an indie low-budget film, but I just don't really see many redeeming qualities in this. So It Lives Inside, it's going to be a 2 out of 5 for me. Just didn't really do much for me. Again, last 15 minutes or so were entertaining. Before that, it was boring, it was never scary, it was frustratingly dumb. I mean, this is some of the most generic, tired dialogue I have heard from characters in a long time in a horror film. And that's really saying something, because there are so many cheap, low-budget, crappy studio films that come out yearly. So when something like this, claiming it's from the producers of Get Out, comes to light, you know, you kind of expect a little bit better. So those are my thoughts on the movie. If you're a diehard horror fan, you're probably going to see it anyway, so dude, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.